What is up, guys? So the other day I was taking a friend out flying and we were out in the desert where there is no cell service, and he made a kind of sarcastic remark like, what, you don't have in-flight Wi-Fi in this plane? At first I kind of laughed at it, but I got to thinking, I'm like, it would be kind of nice to have. So the project today, I got a Starlink. We're gonna go ahead and put this on the plane. We'll call this Operation Kitfox Internet Operation Star Fox. All right, so what you're looking at here is a Starlink that I actually sent off to Unique Componentry, and they do a flat mount 12 volt conversion. I went down the rabbit hole of doing my own 12 volt conversion on a Starlink, and I know I'm fully capable of it. Fairly straightforward wiring wise. Obviously I have 3D printers and all that, and there are designs and files out there that you can just do it yourself. But the more I read into it and the more I was kind of gauging other people's experiences, it sounded like the components that most people use that you just kind of get off Amazon to do a 12 volt conversion can be kind of janky. And the more I went down the rabbit hole, the more I realized I'm like, I'm either just gonna screw something up or I'm gonna be signing myself up for headaches later. So when I found the Unique Componentry flat mount, it just seemed like the smartest bet. It was not the cheapest option, but it gives the most flexibility. Basically, this thing comes with a cable that you can power it off any 12 volt source, even a cigarette outlet, which is what I'm gonna use in the plane. Everything is contained into this dish, and I have these little magnetic feet on it right now, which I use for mounting it on the top of my truck. I'm also gonna put pads to mount it on the top of our trailer for when we're going camping. And these feet are crazy strong. Like, I think they're like 60 or 70 pounds each as far as their holding force. But if you don't want to use the feet, you can take them off, and there's a standard 1/4-20 thread like you'd see in a camera plate. So what I want to do today, let's kind of come up with a system and a way to mount this in the skylight or the head rack of the Kitfox and see if we can't get in-flight internet in my plane. All right, now I'm sure there's gonna be some of you guys that are gonna be saying, Trent, why in the world do you need internet in your airplane? And honestly, you don't. Obviously, people have been flying for nearly a century without internet, but there is some functionality to it on a couple fronts. The first being, you know, I run a small business. I need to stay connected, and I can't tell you how many times I've missed out on an opportunity or a job because I was out flying in the airplane and wasn't able to get back. So it helps with that. But then the other side is the whole safety component of this, because obviously when you're flying out in the backcountry and off grid, there can be inclement weather that is changing all the time, and being able to have access to data to look up weather and know what we're getting into can be a huge advantage for flying safely in the backcountry. And not to mention just having the ability to go on and Google or YouTube something if you're in trouble and need to figure out how to fix something. So anyway, I do acknowledge that it is probably not the most necessary thing on an airplane, but it's gonna be a fun project. So I'm gonna go over, make some measurements, let's draw up some clamps and 3D print them and see if we can't make this work in the old Freedom Fox. Okay, I gotta find a way to mount it, at least to be able to measure. So maybe if I use some of these camera clamps. So let's just first set this up on top of there. Okay. Okay, let me show you guys what I came up with for a design. Now, again, I'm no pro modeler, but these are just gonna be clamps that are gonna go over the tubes in there in the head rack. I did add a little support right here for the longer one, just in hopes that it doesn't bow too much. But basically, pretty simple drawing, and what I'm doing is I've got the X1 carbon that's gonna be printing PETG with carbon fiber infused filament. So basically it's a more rigid and stronger version of a PETG filament. But this print's gonna take about 6 hours, which puts me into dark, and I was hoping to at least get through any reiterations I needed today. So what I'm gonna do, I've got the other Bamboo Labs A1 Mini here I kind of use for like my secondary printer, normally just for printing softer filaments. But what I'm going to do on regular PETG is I'm going to print one in a super draft quality that'll get done in about an hour. That way I can just go test fit and make sure everything is perfect. So as you guys have seen, I've gotten a little bit more into 3D printers recently, but what you guys might not know is that I got my first 3D printer back in 2011 or 2012, back when they were very, very primitive and you had to be quite the tinkerer to get into it. And man, have times changed, especially with the Bamboo Lab stuff. But I have been diving in full-heartedly, like you guys just saw, printing things as simple as a little tool that you need for one job. I've been making fly fishing indicators or bobbers out of this like soft flexible filament. Been making rod holders that you can stick on the side of your car that have magnets that basically hold your rod up so it's not falling over and getting stepped on. I built out a full rod holding system for my fly fishing raft that literally holds your rods safely and securely so they aren't getting broken. It's just any little thing you think of, you start realizing, wait, I can design and print that. And even if you're not designing, a bunch of my little tool holders here you see on the slat wall are all 3D printed. So for anyone that's not into 3D printing, but kind of thinking about getting into it, right now is a really, really good time. And honestly, the other thing I was thinking about the other day, if you have kids, I think getting a 3D printer would be a really smart move for two reasons. One, it's a toy that makes other toys and you can continue to make toys off the 3D printer. But I think the bigger thing is trying to get your kids to wrap their brain around doing projects like I'm doing now. This whole design build thing, and it can start with very primitive little parts, but who knows, maybe it'll turn into a part of their career in the future. I just think it's a really good way to utilize current technology, remove the limitations that we're used to with current manufacturing or past manufacturing techniques, and kind of help their brains blossom to understand this additive manufacturing and how it all works. So anyway, that's my spiel on 3D printers right now. Again, I am printing a carbon fiber infused filament, and for those of you that actually 3D print, you know that can wear out the nozzles that you have. But luckily for me, I am running a prototype nozzle from Diamondback Nozzles, who happens to be the sponsor of this video. So thank you again, Diamondback, for supporting this channel. But for those of you that are unaware of Diamondback, they make a diamond tipped 3D printer nozzle. And basically what that does is it just squeezes the most out of your 3D printer. Diamond is an incredible material that has a bunch of good properties. Like first off, thermal properties. It's got the lowest thermal expansion of any material that's made in a 3D printer nozzle. So what that means, at different temperatures, your extrusion diameter is going to remain the same. Also, it's got better thermal conductivity than any other nozzle, so you're getting the heat right out to the tip of the nozzle where you want it, which means you're going to have cleaner prints, better extrusion, less clogging, and easier cleaning. Plus, diamond is one of the hardest materials out there, so it's not going to get worn down by these pretty abrasive filaments. Overall, you're just going to get the cleanest, most consistent prints. It's going to squeeze the most as it can out of your printer, and because it's diamond, it's going to honestly outlast your printer. So probably the best upgrade you can do for a 3D printer. And again, they're 100% US designed and built, manufactured over in Utah, which I'm a huge fan of. So to any of you that are into 3D printing, check out Diamondback Nozzles. They're a great company. Thank you again, Diamondback, for sponsoring this video. And I am going to sit here and watch these machines print, and then we'll get into test fitting and see if this works. Oh yeah, that lines up perfect. Okay, so here we go. I got all four mounts on, and then I've got the wire ran along that tube down and back to my little cigarette plug back there. I guess we should just check that it powers on. The way that this works, I mean, obviously my master has to be on to supply power up there, and then this unique componentry conversion, they send this little remote that turns it on. So I don't know if you'll be able to hear this, but it just clicked. So that's a good sign. That means it's getting power through the cigarette outlet, which was the plan, so that's good. And then we'll give it a minute because it takes a bit for the router inside the dish to boot up. And again, This company, the guys over there at Unique do a good job. I paid full price for this, so this is not sponsored by them. But what I will say, I'm impressed with their build quality and how they actually maintain the original Starlink router, convert it to a 12 volt true power source, and build it into the back of the dish. So it's a pretty clean setup. Let's go ahead, check on my Wi-Fi, and there it is, Trent Starlink. But anyway, it is late. If you can't tell, it's pitch black out. So I think I'm gonna call it a night and then come out tomorrow morning and we'll tinker with it more. Hopefully be able to go see how it works outside and see if it actually works when we're up in the air flying. Okay, let's see. Wi-Fi, there it is, Trent's Starlink. Takes a few minutes, especially with it being a flat mount, to actually connect. So we'll see what happens first, if it connects or if the engine's warmed up first. Hopefully we can wait for it to connect. Here right in front of the hangar, 35 megabits per second. All right, so now the question is, will it work in flight? I have heard that they're supposed to have a 100 mile per hour speed limit. Basically, if you're going over 100, then you have to have the aviation plan or one of the aviation dishes or something. So will be interesting to see if this is gonna bug me as far as impeding my vision. Like in the summer, it'll actually be nice because it keeps some of the sun off you, so you have like a little bit more shade. It's not gonna be as hot. And I didn't want to push it farther back because then those 3D printed parts would have to span even farther, and this part's not quite as stable as obviously the front. I mean, it's a pretty light dish, so it's not going anywhere, but also it gives me more headroom because my head does almost hit the skylight. I'm like 6 foot, for those wondering. I get a lot of comments or messages asking, hey, I'm 6'8", can I fit in one of those? And maybe if you ran like almost no seat foam and like maybe one of those like Clarity Aloft headsets that don't go over the top of your head. All right, and let's get on out of here. All right, now we are airborne, ground speed of 82, the moment of truth. Let's see if I can trim this plane out and do another speed test. Says online. That's working. 31 megabits per second. Actually ended at 28 while flying at 94 miles an hour. So I don't know about you guys, but I'd consider that a win. Let me see. Oh, there it went offline. It's offline and online, and I'm probably just right on that speed barrier. I guess what we should try, I should try to push it over 100 miles an hour and see what it says, because it keeps going offline, then back online. So why don't I level out here? So at 104, I am not getting signal. Interesting. Oh, but the upload works. Okay, last thing. Just to confirm that, let's slow back down below 100. All right, says online, let's do a speed test at 82 miles an hour. Yeah, not as fast, but it's working. Not bad. All right, well, I'm gonna say it. Project Star Fox is a success. Yeah, this is kind of just a wild idea I had. I want to be able to put this in multiple things, which is why I did the conversion I did with the unique componentry. But the big thing was I wanted to make sure it would work in the plane, because for, longer backcountry trips or flying to Oshkosh, and heck, I really want to get up to Alaska, this could be a really good item to have, just to make sure that you have access to data. As small aircraft pilots, especially in the backcountry, we're often limited on how much data we have on virtually anything, but weather especially. So having something like the Starlink and being able to check the weather and have multiple sources, and even be able to use it for like FaceTime or Wi-Fi calling to someone, so that we could check on the ground up ahead, how are things looking, pretty invaluable. But anyway, I am actually en route to Red Bluff to go fly with the boys over on the Sac River down at sea level and enjoy some warmer weather, but that is for another video, the next video. So with that, I'm probably gonna wrap this one up here. Thank you again, Diamondback Nozzles, for getting me back into 3D printing, a hobby that I kind of despised in the past because it was such a finicky thing. It was like, it used to be your hobby was the 3D printer and keeping it going. Now you can actually just enjoy printing stuff. So thanks again, Diamondback, and thank you guys for sticking around. You guys know the drill. Like this video if you do. Subscribe if you haven't. Come be my wingman. See you on the next one.